Sometimes the most incredible stories pop up in the most unexpected places. Today, we're actually pulling a story of absolutely monumental impact, straight from the pages of a local parish bulletin. It's all about how profound humility can build something, well, something truly astonishing.
So let's just jump right into the big question here, because it sounds kind of impossible, right? How on earth does a man whose entire job was just to open a door become the inspiration behind a landmark that literally millions of people visit?
And this picture just says it all. On the left, that's the man himself, Brother Andre. And on the right, that's his legacy, the magnificent St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal. You see the contrast right away. A simple man, an absolutely epic creation. So let's unpack how he did it.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning with this unassuming French-Canadian man. I mean, on the surface, his life seemed pretty simple, but as we're about to see, it was anything but ordinary.
So Alfred Bisset, that's the man who would become Brother Andre, was born back in 1845, and he had a really tough start. He was orphaned at just 12 years old. By 1870, he joins the Congregation of Holy Cross, and that's where he'd spend the rest of his life, eventually, of course, being recognized as a saint in 2010.
But his job in the community was, well, surprisingly simple. And with this amazing sense of humor he always had, Brother Andre described it just like this. See, he wasn't a scholar or a big-shot leader. He was the gatekeeper at Notre Dame College in Montreal. For 4 decades, his entire world was that door.
So you have to ask, what was the source of this doorkeeper's incredible influence? I mean, it obviously wasn't his position or any kind of power. No, it was his profound devotion to a figure who really modeled that quiet, humble service, St. Joseph.
And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. On one side, you've got St. Joseph, who the scriptures always show as silent, just humbly accepting his role in this huge divine plan. And on the other side, you've got Brother Andre, who completely modeled his life on that ideal, constantly turning away praise and just focusing on service. And this was something he said all the time. As words started spreading about these miraculous healings happening around him, Brother Andre refused to take any credit. He saw himself as nothing more than an instrument, a tool. He'd always say, "I do not cure, St. Joseph cures." So this is the crucial point right here. For Brother Andre, St. Joseph was the ultimate model. He was this figure who could put aside his own plans, his own ego, even his own voice, to serve a purpose that was so much greater than himself. This was the spiritual engine that was driving everything that happened next.
So, how did this really deep internal conviction become, well, a massive physical reality? Brother Andre's unwavering faith wasn't just some abstract idea. It literally took the form of stone and granite and copper on the side of a mountain.
And there it is. I mean, wow, this is the real, tangible result of his dream. What started as just a tiny little chapel back in 1904 grew and grew into the world's largest sanctuary dedicated to St. Joseph. It's just a testament to one man's relentless vision. And just to give you a sense of the scale here, the dome alone is 97 meters high. That's over 300 feet. It is the 3rd largest of its kind in the entire world. And all of this was sparked by the vision of a humble doorkeeper. It's incredible.
Now, this was no overnight project. Construction on the main basilica didn't even start until 1924. And get this, when Brother Andre passed away in 1937, the structure was still roofless, completely open to the sky. The work kept going, and it was finally inaugurated almost 2 decades after he was gone. The building that stands there today is just an architectural marvel. It's done in the Italian Renaissance style, with granite from right there in Quebec. It has these towering Corinthian columns, these beautiful copper roofs, and it can seat over 2,000 people. It's a truly grand vision, finally realized. Okay, so what does the story of a doorkeeper from a century ago have to do with us, right here, today? Well, the bulletin this story came from makes some really powerful connections, linking his journey to the kinds of challenges we all still face. The bulletin talks about St. Joseph's own story. His confusion and his fear when he was faced with something he just couldn't understand. And yet, he chose to move forward with trust. It's the exact same path Brother Andre took, and it really suggests a universal one for all of us. To acknowledge our fear, sure, but refuse to let it paralyze us. And that personal fear, it can so easily expand and spill outward. This meditation from Father Richard Rohr explains how that same impulse, that fear of the unknown, can morph into fear of the other, of anyone who's different from us.
It's a really dangerous pattern that leads to mistrust and conflict, and it's a powerful reminder of where fear can take us if we let it run the show.
And this is where the bulletin connects everything right back to that core idea of humble service. Just like Brother Andre focused on the simple, fundamental act of opening a door, it asks us to think about another fundamental: taking care of our planet. And it starts with a simple question about a resource that, let's be honest, most of us take for granted.
And the answer is just so profoundly simple. It's essential. This whole idea frames taking care of the environment, not just as some big policy issue, but as a fundamental act of service to each other and to the planet itself. It's like a modern echo of that same humble, essential work.
So how do we actually translate these huge ideas into our day-to-day lives? Well, the bulletin offers a really simple, practical guide for what it calls a path of humble service.
So look, this isn't about us going out and building a giant basilica. It's about the small, almost invisible daily actions. Take a look at these points. Adapting instead of demanding that the world adapt to us. Doing a good deed secretly, without looking for credit, and consciously choosing not to be afraid, but to actually believe in goodness. Every single one is a small step away from our ego and towards service.
And this just beautifully sums up the potential impact of those small actions, doesn't it? It's not about being the whole loaf of bread, but about being the leaven that helps the whole thing rise. Not being a giant bonfire, but being a single spark of light that can absolutely make a difference.
And that really brings us to our final thought. The story of Brother Andre shows us that you don't need a fancy title or a huge platform or some grand plan to get started. All you need is a commitment to humble service. So it leaves all of us with this question: what incredible, seemingly impossible thing could your quiet daily actions one day build?